Okay, hello everyone. A quick one before lunch. I'm not going to bother you with a very long, elaborate discussion on the whole setup. So a short one about how we can use the power of Jira and eazyBI in a context where you might not really expect it. So a bit about Idelco, first of all. Some of you might know us. We are a solution partner from Belgium originally, and now mainly focusing on the Benelux markets and France. We have at this moment about 30 consultants, and very recently you might have heard that we split off our add-on development department, Excelate, which is now a separate company, and we are solely focusing on licensing and consulting from now on. Then, our customer, what I'm going to talk about today is Equans, which is a very big company, a multinational company with offices in about 20 countries and a total of about 90,000 employees. And they are working in the heavy industry market with industry, office building management, security, electrical devices, smart cities, connected cities, all these big projects. The customers, they are all over the place. You have the military, all kinds of transportation, energy, nuclear, all these kinds of things. The project that we are talking about is specifically about the automation department in Belgium. And what are they responsible for? Well, they manage the automation of big infrastructure items, such as ship locks. I don't know the Latvian word or the Czech word for that. I have even had to look up what it was in English. That's where the boat goes in, and then the level of the water is adapted so that the boat can go further. Movable bridges, hydroelectric power plants, etc. Also the offshore windmill parks are managed by them, and one of their biggest, fanciest products or supported infrastructure is an offshore switchyard, which means that the electricity of different offshore wind parks is routed to this switch yard, and then with one big cable is sent towards the mainland. So there's really not an IT like situation, but they manage the automation of all these things, and that's also a bit of software, a bit of hardware, and incidents happen, unfortunately. And they needed a way to manage that in an easy way with a smooth tool which was visible for the customer, but also had all the power of a workflow and SLAs, etc. for the backend. Next to just managing the incidents, they also needed a solution to see that for each installation that they had, that they have enough engineers not on site, but engineers in the company that were able and certified to work on these installations, because it's high electricity, underwater sometimes. They need certain certifications and safety precautions and trainings before they can actually work on these instances. So we needed a way to follow that up. And also, because it's big infrastructure, people rely on it. There is 24/7 support required, and we needed to be sure that there was always someone available. That were the main requirements for the project. But there are so many different kinds of infrastructure. There are so many different customers, all government related. It was very hard to get a clear set of requirements here. We started with actually reading all the contracts that were made between Equans and the different companies or government organizations and finding out what are actually the requirements, because every company had its own way of describing things. Each one had another SLA, and the SLA was called differently. It was very hard to find out what exactly do they need. So it was very big work. We worked together with the experts from the automation department to find out what it all was, and were able, luckily, to reduce all this complex set of contracts, etc., to basically 3 SLAs, which, if you ever worked in a service management environment, probably seem very familiar, like the time to first response, time to service, and time to resolution. Added complexity is every contract had its own requirements regarding these SLAs. So if it was an urgent matter, if for the one customer it needed to be solved in 1 hour, for another customer 5 hours was okay. So it was very it needed to be very flexible. So how did we go on and implement this solution? We started, of course, with Jira Service Management, and added some insights, or assets as it's called now, to manage all these different installations. Some script runner and tempo planner was added on top of it to make sure that everything was nicely automated and that the planning was 24/7 planned. And of course, eazyBI at the end to make sure that all the required reporting was available. So in our asset management, for every shiplock or offshore switchyard or wind park or whatever, we created an asset with, on this asset, all the relevant information, like to which customer does it belong, who are the involved people, who is allowed to create a ticket on this, which engineers are allowed to work on it, what are the required trainings, certifications, etc. And next to that, in the incoming references, we also have the SLAs set up so that we can see which SLAs are applicable for this specific customer. It was split up between the urgent requests, the not so urgent incidents, and also the service requests, because sometimes you also need just some maintenance on these installations instead of an urgent incident solution. The incoming SLAs, they are called here in a different time or a different name. You have the IRT, which is basically time to first response, so the initial response time, RT and TTR, and they are mentioned here in minutes. And we have an automation. Once you update it in the assets, then automatically via script runner there is a script that updates the SLAs in Jira Service Management. So this is what you see here on the left. There's a whole list of queries, JQL queries, that define the different SLAs that are required for each and every installation. For the on-call planning, we used Tempo Planner, which is, of course, an easy tool to plan people for the first and second line support. But because the first line person didn't always know who was on second line support if they needed it, we also created a small dashboard gadget which gets the data from Tempo and shows it in an easy to read way on the homepage. And yeah, because it's very important that there's always someone on call, we also created a job in Script Runner that checks every night that the planning for the coming 2 weeks, I think, is complete, that there are nowhere a hole in the planning where there's no one on call. That's all nice, of course, but we are here on the eazyBI community days, so what about reporting? Well, because we did a whole lot of work upfront, analyzing all these requirements and all the SLAs, we could basically use almost all out-of-the-box eazyBI stuff to get all the reporting we needed. So we have some asset reporting for all these assets to list out which are the required trainings. Also for each person we can see which trainings do they have, what's the validity of the certificates. We can follow that up. And for the service management part, there are a lot of basic reporting, SLAs met, SLAs unmet. We have the timesheet reporting. I think all of this is pretty much basic eazyBI. You just use a template, set up the right source data, and here you have it. Also for the project managers, there are some overviews over all the installations, so not client-specific, but an overview to see how well we are performing, how much of the SLAs are met, and nice gauges to show how good we are doing this month. And here there's some more reporting on the general way of working. For the clients, reporting towards the clients, because always different requirements for each client, it was very hard to make a global report that could be sent to the clients. So what we did is we sent the eazyBI reports with all the data via email to the project leads, and they will get all the data they need into a Confluence page, export it to PDF, and send it over to the customer. It would take us too far for each and every customer with each specific requirement to make a Confluence template and put all the eazyBI data in it. It was possible, but it was not so cost effective to do it that way. So, in conclusion, what did we learn from this challenging project? Well, basically, it's not so hard to use eazyBI or do business intelligence. Main thing is you need to think upfront how you are going to structure your data before you even put it into the system. And once you have a good idea how we can make it as easy as possible in the system, then getting it out and doing reporting on it will be a breeze.